Hey, I'm John Tabler. Welcome back. Today we're going to make sourdough olive bread. It's going to be fantastic. And you know, the main thing you got to watch out for when you're making sourdough olive bread is eating all the olives before you actually make the bread. I love olives. And these olives actually came off an olive bar. And since they're whole, you could use them like that. But I'm going to dice them a little bit. It's going to be really nice to have whole olives in an olive bread, a sourdough olive bread. But I'm going to dice a few of them. Then it's going to be really, really easy because you're going to make the bread just like you always do. I'll leave a couple whole ones. I'm going to put that back in. So you can buy olives already diced or buy olives in a can, but there's nothing like those fresh olives right off of the olive bars that they'll have in stores now. And so now that we have that done, I'm going to take flour, and you know, like I always do, I don't measure. I just throw in an amount of flour that will give you a big enough loaf. Throw some water, and it's a little bit better to put a little bit less water than you need right when you start out, because you can always add to it, but you'll have to add more flour if you put a little bit too much. So you want it to be like Play-Doh, but a little bit softer. Okay, and that's a little bit moist, so I'll throw just to put a little bit more flour in there. Now this flour, you want to get the whole wheat, 100% whole wheat flour that has all the vitamins, all the bran, every bit of the goodness of nature in it. Because that's what we want to do. We want to nourish ourselves. And let me tell you something, the taste of that is so much better than any lesser flour, like the white flours. You know, they use chemicals and things like that to make them white, and it degrades the flour completely. Now what I'm doing is I'm taking the starter that I already had made. You should always have a starter in your refrigerator, and you can add a little bit to it the day before, but I'm thinking about 3 heaping tablespoons of it and putting into the mixture. I'm just going to work it through. But as I'm doing that, you can see I'm eyeing those olives. And without making it too complicated, pick up the olives and dump them in. It's that easy. You're just going to put the olives in and work them through the dough. We're going to let it ferment overnight. And I always say overnight, but I mean, I may come back in 15 hours. The longer it ferments, the more complete the breakdown of the gluten becomes. So if you do this in the evening, you can bake it around noon, or you can bake it around 5 at night. It doesn't make much difference. And that's how long it takes to make sourdough olive bread, because I'm really done. Now what I want to do is put the starter back in the refrigerator, which I'll do shortly. But I just take a dish towel and lay it over the bowl. Get a little bit of flour, sprinkle it around. Then take that. Now I'm done with the dough ball. I'm just putting those olives through there a little better, but you can see. And I used black olives and green olives. I wanted to have both. It's going to be fantastic to try it. There's a couple more, and then there's 2 left for me. I will eat them all before I get them into the dough ball if I'm not careful. So there we go. Put that down. Now I'm going to put a little bit of flour on top. I put the towel over. And one thing that I've started really doing much more often is I'll take another either bowl or something and just put over the top. It holds the moisture in. However long that took, that's how long it takes to make bread. And so we'll be back with the magic of editing after it has fermented overnight, and I'm going to bake it, and then we're going to see how good it is. You're going to love it. So I'll see you back in a snap. And just like that, we're back. And that was about, I'd say about 20 hours. I actually waited till the late afternoon to bake this. And so let's see how it looks. I'm going to take off the lid that kept the moisture in a little bit, and you can see, let's turn it upside down and pull the top off. And you know, the olives are all spread out in there. And so I've already preheated the oven. So I'm going to take the Dutch oven out. And I like that heat coming out on me. You want to really be careful with the Dutch oven when you're taking it out of 500-degree oven. And I just make a cut right along the top. That's not a big deal. I've seen really big deals made about it. It just doesn't really matter. Do it however you want. I'm going to drop that in. And I'm going to bake it for 30 minutes with the lid on. I've noticed lately that if you leave the lid on a little bit longer, it will get the sourdough to cook inside and give it a little bit softer crust, and then you can kind of custom make your crust after that by how long you leave the lid off. But let's come back after 30 minutes and I'll show you what it looks like. Okay, we're back, and it's been right about 30 minutes, and so I'm going to take the lid off and take a look at the crust. And you know, it's all a judgment call on how you like the crust. You can touch it and see if it's hard enough for you. I'm just going to leave it a little bit longer, probably about 4 minutes, and then we'll come out and take it out, look at it, and even better, taste it. Okay, it's been about 4 more minutes, so let's take that out and see what this bread looks like. And the way I'm going to get that out of there without burning myself is my double fork method. I should have a patent pending on that, but I haven't dropped one on the floor yet. And you can kind of tell when you actually put it in, it doesn't really leave a mark, but you can kind of tell from the method of putting a toothpick or something inside whether or not it is still moist. And so that actually felt fine. And so I'm going to let it cool down. Now, a couple things very quickly. You have to have a starter made to do this, and you can look at some of my videos on how to make a starter. It's very simple, and you can put it in the refrigerator and you'll have that done, and that's the only thing you need to make bread as fast as you're seeing me make it. And so it's very simple. You just put flour and unchlorinated water in a cup and stir it with just kind of a paste, a little bit less thick than that. And then you do that 3 days in a row, and you'll have your starter made. 3 to 4 days, right around in there. It'll be sour, but you can look at a video online. Then I also use a parchment paper, parchment cooking paper. You can go online and just put baking parchment or cooking parchment. It makes it really, really easy to bake with. But let's see what this looks like, and when I cut into it in just a few minutes after it cools down, and we'll be right back. Okay, we're back, and now this is cooled for about 20 minutes. So I'm going to put the cooling rack aside. And let's see what it looks like inside. This is sourdough olive bread, black and green olives. Let's just cut into it and see how it looks. As you can see now, obviously you can put as much olives as you want in. There's not a tremendous amount in here, but there's green, black, and when you try that with some olive oil, pour some olive oil in a bowl, put a little salt. And before I taste this, I want to show you the bottom. You see it looks great. I mean, the crust is beautiful, but the olives are dispersed through, and the green olives, black olives, and it is time to try it. And dipped in olive oil. I mean, it's good when it's normal sourdough, but like this, that might be the bread that you want as your default bread, and then sometimes make normal sourdough, because it's tremendous. Whether you're going to make a sandwich in it, dip it in oil, or whatever you're going to do with it. This is quick, easy to make, and you will love it. You can get the olives off the olive bar at the grocery store or in a can. It wouldn't really matter. Of course, the tastes are different, but either way, it will be tremendous. Give it a try as an alternative to normal sourdough, and I'll show you some other recipes that are other alternatives coming up. Hit the like and subscribe down below, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video.